Welcome, everybody. Sonia Lopez here of Magnetic CEO. In this channel, we talk about all things magnetic manifesting and business growth. In today's conversation, we are going to be talking about everything that you pushed out. This is something that you hear a lot in the manifesting world. And I teach it a little bit different because I talk about projecting your energy. This is like next level manifestation mastery. When you learn that everything is you pushed out and you get really masterful at projecting your energy, the things you start to attract are incredible. So let's dive right in because this is a really powerful tool that not very many people know about. So, what is everything you pushed out? Remember, we all have a hard drive, as I like to call it, that is wired with our own set of beliefs, perceptions, and conditioning, or also known as our subconscious mind, that has been wired from the ages of 0 to about 7 years old, give or take. And so generally, until you start to become more intentional as to what you want to co-create in your life, you are walking around allowing this conditioning and this programming that you have going on in your inner landscape, in your hard drive, to be projected out on autopilot. And so when people start manifesting, they don't even truly learn about this. This usually you start to learn about this further on in your manifesting journey as you become more seasoned and maybe you've already done all the mainstream practices and you use their tools and you're wanting to deepen your practice. Because remember, consciously co-creating your life and the desires and the success that you want in your business is a practice, because it very easily we can fall back into our autopilot ways of being. And so as you start to become more masterful and more conscious of what you're wanting to co-create, these deeper practices will help you. So what is everything is you pushed out? Remember, I just said you have a set of beliefs, perceptions, conditioning that you are projecting out on autopilot. And so what you see in, I like to call it the movie screen of your life. I like to say that if you were to imagine that the external world is a projection of what is going on in your inner landscape, then you can see that as a movie screen. And as you become more intentional, then you're more mindful and more thoughtful as to what it is that you want to project out into the movie screen. And I'll give you some examples in a minute. So once you understand that everything is you pushed out, that everything is you projecting what is going on in your inner landscape, because you are that reel that keeps going and going and going, then you can decide, is my current reality what I want to continue to project out? So you'll also hear me say, if you don't change the inner landscape, you don't change the outer results. Or, if you keep doing what you're continue to be doing, you're going to keep getting what you're going to keep getting. Again, this is where you can look at your current reality and you can start to say to yourself, am I okay with this? Am I happy? Am I content? Are there things that I want to change? And then that becomes a deeper question of, what am I projecting out? So everything is you pushed out, including the people in your life, is the perceptions and the beliefs that you have of that person or of those circumstances. Again, at the highest level of consciousness, the invitation for you to be neutral energetically is to consider that nothing is unless your thinking makes it so. So everything that you're seeing and the way you are labeling it is due to the set of beliefs and perceptions that from which you're looking at that person or that circumstance. So that is the part where you're projecting it out. And there's a second step to this where you get to become more intentional. But again, I want to repeat this. The person or the circumstance that is showing up in your life right now, it is the way that you are looking at it. It is the way that you are labeling it that becomes you pushed out. That's what that means. It means that based on your inner hard drive, you will see things as not as they are, but as you're labeling them to be. Okay, now let me address this because this is a common question I also get when I talk about this topic, and it's a little bit nuanced. When people say to me, well, if everything is me pushed out, then how come there are wars and famine and children starving and people being hurt in the world? And what I say to that is that energy is not separate, okay? And we each have our own responsibility with what we are projecting out into the world. However, 85% of humanity is running on autopilot. So they are not being thoughtful and mindful as to what it is they want to project out. Furthermore, there are a lot of hard drives in humans that are not highly conscious hard drives and that are operating still in victim consciousness, in greed and anger and frustration and what's in it for me type of world. So until that starts to change, we all start to do our due diligence and our own part in shifting our hard drive. The collective is a collective is a collective because there's no separation in energy. So that 85% of people that are projecting whatever levels of victim consciousness they're projecting, because remember, we are all at different levels and we all have victim consciousness. I don't care how much work you've done on yourself, you have victim consciousness. Until we all continue to do the work and to clean up the energy, there will always be shadow. There will always be darkness in the world. So I wanted to address that because I know I get asked that a lot. So, you know, and we could take this further and say, how can I contribute to the shift? And that is, you know, your own, again, your own choice, your free will, and also, you know, what can I do to help those situations that I really don't have control over, like donating, etc. So that is that. But everything is you pushed out is, how am I choosing to see and to label the current reality in front of me? And it's based on what I currently have going on in my inner hard drive. So if I am not happy with the way it looks on the outside, the question becomes, what do I need to shift on the inside? So the two main steps that you can start to do to shift this is, number one, awareness. When you notice that, you know, that person triggered me or this thing happened, how are you choosing to see that in this present moment? Okay. And then without any judgment and with all the compassion and the love in the world, the second step becomes, how am I labeling this? Am I being neutral about it, or is there an energetic emotional charge that I feel when I label this person or this situation or this circumstance? What is the energy underneath that? Because it's really, again, as I said before, nothing is unless thinking makes it so. So ideally, we want to come at, especially our triggers and the things that upset us, from a place of alchemy where the energy becomes neutral and there is no emotional charge that is creating that resonance of either dense energy or, you know, energy that just doesn't feel good to you. And again, this could be on autopilot that you're resonating this energy because our autopilot does tend to take over. So the next step or level of this would be to learn to project your energy, which is something that I teach inside of my programs and my one-on-one coaching. Is I teach my clients to have the awareness of what they are currently projecting out on autopilot, shifting what needs to be shifted, and then being intentional. And this takes a little bit more of a practice of the projection that you want to put on that movie screen. But some of the ways that you can start to do this is by actually visualizing, imagining that you have, that there's a projector in front of you. And if for you it works to close your eyes, you can close your eyes and begin to imagine, maybe in one area of life or a couple areas of life. I tend to like to focus on one area at a time as to what it is I want to co-create. And then I close my eyes and I imagine the movie screen in front of me and I picture the reel of the movie that I want to play out into the screen as it's being projected out. And I connect to all of the different senses that I can. As much of the senses that you can get involved in your visualizing process, the better, because you are evoking that emotion on all the different levels, and that becomes the energy that you project out. So again, everything is you pushed out. When you see something in front of you that you are not liking, get curious with it rather than, judging it. If for whatever reason you happen to be triggered by something, then that's a little bit of a deeper opportunity to alchemize those emotions that are coming up when you are triggered, and then shifting the energy that you're projecting out. Maybe that'll be another episode that I do. But for now, just remembering that a simple curiosity question, asking yourself of what do I want to push out today? If my life is a movie screen, what am I projecting out? You can ask those questions and actually begin to choose consciously every day what you want to project out. And the more you do this, the better you'll get at it, and the more magnetic you'll become. And then you'll start to see the synchronicities and the manifestations start to come through even faster, because you are being so much more intentional. So I hope this episode served you. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and share, and I will see you on the next one.